Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Belinda Ellsworth, and today we are going to talk about a very important topic, and that is knowing your numbers. And these numbers can be, there's a lot of different numbers in your life that you probably need to be paying attention to. But here's what I'm going to tell you, that when you are not paying attention to any of your analytics, any of your numbers, especially in regard to your business, in regard to your finances, even involved in your social media, if you are trying to make an impact on that, if you don't know any of those numbers at all, then basically, if you're not paying attention to the numbers, then you have your head in the sand. And when we have our head in the sand, then it doesn't allow us to move forward because we're really not sure what is working and what isn't. I always like to say, knowing your numbers allows you to make course corrections. It actually allows you to feel really good. And I think most people actually avoid knowing their numbers for a couple of reasons. One, they don't want to, some people just don't like it. I talk to a lot of women that will say, I'm just not a numbers person. I hear that more from women than I do men. And I'm like, well, then you need to learn to be one. Don't let that be your excuse for not having a clue about what is going on in your life. I was just listening because I've been sort of, taking in a lot of information and sort of getting myself up to speed on some of the different, pieces of financial advice, because that's an area that I've had different pieces of advice and read tons of books on, but it's not right off the top of my mind like a lot of the information I give you is. So I've been reading up on that, and I was listening to a woman last week, and it was about, getting out of debt and being able to do that, which we're going to do a whole segment on that. But she said the very first thing is you have to know exactly where you are, because everything is done electronically today. I mean, most everybody does all of their banking online. There's people today that, don't even know how to balance a checkbook because they don't even own a checkbook. And so because of that, they also aren't even aware of all the bills that they have. I mean, you've seen those ads for, how many subscriptions do you have? And people think they only have 4 or 5. And then the next thing you know, they're actually writing them all down and looking at where all of their money is going. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've got 13. I had no idea. Or, we've done audits on our business, and because I'll have different people working here, we'll end up having 3 different subscriptions for basically the same exact tool that does the same thing, only somebody said this one's better, get this. And so we did, but no one ever canceled the other one. And so then when you do an audit of your business to see actually where you are and where your numbers are, like profit and loss statements, then you say, oh my, this is silly. We need to eliminate these. But if you don't know where you are, then it's very difficult for you to know where you're going. And it's very difficult to course correct. I always like to say, knowing your numbers, okay? And this could be your sales numbers. It could be like on this YouTube channel, what are your views? How long are people watching? When do people fall off? What can I do? How can I do a better job? For me, just starting this channel, I'm like, okay, how long are people watching? Oh, they're dropping off at here. It's too long. I've got to make these shorter. I've got to get to the point, because I'm used to training. I'm used to speaking live, and I'm doing keynotes, right? And so those are like an hour 15. And so I have already sort of tried to break those down to 30 minutes, but some of them are going to 40, and people just weren't staying for it. They weren't staying for the whole thing. That doesn't mean that on occasion I'll probably have one that might go longer that is important, but I'm going to try to do a better job of keeping these to 15 minutes. That's now my new goal. After 2 weeks of analytics, I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to do. So that's how you know. When I had the most growth, when I was a sales manager and I had a team of sales reps, when I did the absolute best is when I actually was checking in with them. How are you doing? What's your projections coming up for this next week? And so if I could actually ask people those questions, then they would have to know what they are. And when I had to give my projections to managers that I had in sales, before I gave those, I had to do them weekly. I always would actually try to get on the phone and try to get more sales appointments lined up and try to get more things so that I could actually say, here's what I got coming up. Here's my numbers. Here's the appointments on the books. Here's exactly what it looks like, because it made me feel good about that. But in doing that, that's how I learned to be a good manager. When I did that, my team grew. And then when I got lazy, or I just thought, everybody's kind of doing their thing and everybody's got it going on. And so I didn't feel like it was as necessary to do projections every week. Well, the minute that I stopped doing that, my team stopped growing at the pace that they were growing. I learned that. That's been years ago. That's where The same thing is true of your numbers in your finances, like how much money you have, where is your money going, how much money are you setting aside for savings or to put away for investment. And people say, well, I don't have enough money. Well, you always have enough money. You always have enough money if you pay yourself first, you put your investments aside, and you live on the money you have left over. You're always going to have enough money, because we learn to live on the money that we have. But if you don't even know what money you have, you end up spending money that you don't have. And then that's how people end up getting into debt. It's the number one reason is because, there's other reasons, because maybe they're going through a hardship and then they have to use credit cards. But oftentimes the reason people get into debt is because they don't even know how much money they had or how much money they spent, and they're spending more than they're actually making. That's the number one reason. And what is the cause of that? They don't even know how much money that they had or how much money that they were spending. That's that simple. I see it all the time with businesses that don't keep profit and loss statements. So you're making more money and you're making more money, but you're spending more money. And a lot of times you'll be spending almost the whole amount of money that you're making. And so what money did you keep? What was your profit? What was your loss? Like, if you don't know what your expenditures are, if you aren't keeping track of those numbers, then your business is going to get away from you. Sales calls. Like, if you are saying, here's what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend, this many calls will usually generate 10 calls will generate a sale. Some people, they know what their rate is of how many calls will I need to make before I get a yes, and before that person says yes, like, what's my close rate? So if you know your numbers, you start to learn your close rate, and then you're not as worried about rejection, because you know that out of 10 calls, 9 people are likely to say not right now, or thank you so much, I'm not interested, or maybe call me back later. But out of that, you might get 1. So if you know that's your close rate, or you might get 2, maybe you have a 20% close rate. So then you're like, all right, I've hit my 8, man. On my next 2, I am due. And that keeps you positive and it keeps you going. That's how salespeople get through a lot of rejection, is just knowing what their close rate is. So other numbers, I kind of want to just go over a variety of different numbers. It's the same way with your health. If you're not paying attention to, like, a lot of people don't like to weigh themselves. And I know the times that when I have done the best, this is going back, I've had a really good run here, working on my health these last 16 months, 17 months, and I needed to. But prior to that, like, I would weigh myself pretty often. Now, some people say you shouldn't weigh yourself more than once a week. But I had a friend that lost, like, 100 pounds, and she kept it off. She kept that 100 pounds off for 20 years. Like, this is when I heard her talking about it. And people asked her, what is the number one thing that you did to keep that off? And she said, I weigh myself every day. And then if I see myself getting like 5 pounds up, like 5 is her number, right? And that's kind of how I'm living by right now too. So 5 is the number. So if I'm up 5 pounds, I'm going to get that off. I'm going to start, like, really locking in. if you don't weigh yourself ever, then you don't realize how much weight you've actually gained. And the next thing you get on, but a lot of times we do this to ourselves. We sabotage ourselves because we don't want to know the money that's in our account. We don't want to know how much money we actually spent. We don't want to know how much weight we've really gained. Like, these are things that you're putting your head in the sand. If you don't know, then there's no way to grow. What gets tracked sees growth. What gets tracked sees results. So if you're really trying to watch what you're eating, keeping a journal of that is going to make an incredible difference. If you're trying to save money, doing a journal, like if you go to a financial advisor, what do you think they're going to tell you? If you have a lot of debt and you have trouble, they're going to say, I can't save anything. They're going to say, I want you for, a week or 3 weeks to everywhere you spend money. Suddenly you realize, look how much money I'm wasting. I can cut that out. It's the same way with intake of food, but it's the same way with your time. Are you tracking your time? How much time are you spending in certain areas of a day? All of these numbers matter. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is social media, because you really want to see like engagement. How many people made comments? How many views did that get? If you're just posting to post, you're probably not going to get the growth that you want, or you're going to keep making posts that nobody engages with. If you see, oh, this seems to be the thing that people really like, I'm going to make more engaging posts like that. I might do more reels. Like, I've learned about my reels, like what people like and what they don't like. And so it is important then that feedback is great. This is another whole subject, but you also want feedback. But think of your numbers like a little person sitting on your shoulder, like your coach. Your numbers are your coach on where to correct course, where to focus your energy more, what you need to eliminate, what is wasting your time. Like, if you had a tracking mechanism of some kind to track your numbers, one of the things, I've got ledgers and I've got different tracking sheets, like for my social media worksheets. And I'm going to drop one of those in the description. So if you want one of our worksheets that we have as a business tracker, you can look for it there. So it tracks like how many new customers did I add? How many, if I added to my email list, how many, it's got your social media sort of numbers on there. So I'll post that for you, and it'll just be a free gift, and you can grab that in the description. So in the description below, look for that. Now, knowing your numbers is exhilarating. So if you will just say, I am a numbers person, and I'm going to own this, and all of a sudden you will become, I'm not kidding you, you will become empowered in a way that you probably didn't even think was possible. It's exciting. So that's how I want you to look at numbers. Quit looking at it as drudgery and say, okay, this is exciting. Every single time in my life, no matter in what area that I was trying to have growth in, when I stuck my head in the sand and wasn't paying attention to anything and just going about my business in a random way, just doing it every day, and random acts get random results. But when I was focused in on either putting it in a ledger, putting it in a spreadsheet, putting it in my phone, putting it, whatever application you want to use, when I get focused on that, that's where I start to see growth. And then when I start to fall off of that habit, that's where I start to fall back again. Like, I get stagnant, I get stale, the needle isn't moving forward, or I have no idea whether it's moving forward or it's not moving. It also causes complacency when you have no clue of where you are. So these are all things you don't want. So I'm excited for you. Tackle one of these areas. So what areas do you want to start tracking your numbers in? Definitely, if you have a business, I would say, you know, you want to be you want to have a business tracker of some kind. You want to have a profit and loss statement of some kind. Those are two biggies that are just good to know. And then if you're working on your health and wellness, track that. Track your calorie intake. Track, when you're exercising, how much are you expending, and then you want to track just your food intake, your weight. Like, these are kinds of things. And I just got a new scale for Christmas, and I'm tracking it, but I'm tracking now my muscle mass, and like it's a body scan scale. And so now I'm kind of tracking that, and I'm trying to get up. I've got a set goal for getting what I want my muscle mass amount to be. It's actually pretty good. It's not bad. But I was talking to the guy that I do the weight training with, and I think it's like at 24% right now. And he's like, I want to see you get that up to 32%. So I was like, okay. So now I have a goal and I got a number. And so when I do my scan, then I can see how I'm doing. And it makes me excited, and it gives me something to focus toward. So knowing your numbers is a good thing. So if you liked what you heard today, just hit subscribe so you can follow us. We're going to be doing these every single day. We're going to have little tidbits for your life, for your business, for your health. And it's going to be awesome. So I would love it if you would subscribe, like, and share. That would be amazing. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. And don't forget to go check out the description so you can grab your free gift. Thanks, everybody.